1 2 1 2. We are back. GYGB War Report Show. I'm your co-host Roberto Flack. My man ROD on location. What is goody, fam? Yeah, we were just talking about off the air, man. You know, Florida's about to get a little sprinkle of the cold weather, but up north is getting hammered right now, man. And it's I don't feel for y'all, man, but it's that's that time of the season, man. It's the cold drift. Winter is here. We're gonna jump right into it, man. Obviously, we've been out for a couple of weeks, but a lot has been happening in boxing in the last, I don't know, man, what, like the last 2 months. I want to say following Canelo Triple G, we started to see the influx of all this like groundbreaking news for the sport as it related to networks bowing out after 45 years and these huge deals now made with streaming apps. And one of the big stories that we were kind of getting word of, or at least we found out some time ago, at least like September, I think, the deal that the PBC made with not only Showtime, who they've been working with for like the last few years, but now with Fox, which is obviously the huge network. But while the Zone, and we talked about Canelo and that whole huge $365 million deal, the PBC and Fox kind of just took took the light away from that whole situation, as they kind of unveiled yesterday their first half of 2019, and they did it in LA at Fox Studios. And we saw a list of fights, and we're gonna go over them as we go on the show, or go through the show. But the talk of boxing right now, we were hearing about it, and I'll pass it to ROD. Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence Jr., March 16th, not on Showtime pay-per-view, but on Fox Sports pay-per-view, which is going to be Fox's first pay-per-view, their debut now in that platform. So ROD, man, we were talking about it. It's come to fruition. It's here. And I mean, overall, what did you think of the whole gala that they had yesterday, as far as the unveiling of Fox on PBC? Okay. Oh, no, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, the audio went out. Go ahead. No, no, go ahead, go ahead. No, 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 go ahead. No, no, there was like a little bit of feedback. Go ahead, go ahead. Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You sent me that video today.
and I like his attitude, but like, you notice none of those guys called out Errol Spence.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's like it was just glorified, like just a glorified, respectable holiday party, man. Like Danny Garcia, Danny Garcia, his fight partner wasn't there, but he had an opportunity to call him out. He had an opportunity to call out Errol Spence, like, hey, I'll fight him as well. He didn't even mention his name. Two seats, two seats down from him. So
Isn't that weird? Right? Like that whole situation was weird to me because I mean, obviously the whole thing of we obviously got Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence. That was the big announcement, but I found it hilarious how, and you just touching on it, how Sean Porter and Keith Thurman are right there, the guys that he should be fighting, yet he's fighting somebody that, I don't know, 5-6 months ago we weren't even thinking was going to fight Errol Spence.
And I think, and I have to say this, but, as we're going back, I said this before, when have we seen this in recent history? Like it's groundbreaking in terms of the Fox promotional aspect and the pay-per-view aspect. I like what they're doing with the brand. I like what it means for us in terms of cable. Like we don't have to sit down with like $14 Showtime and $14 HBO type of fees per month. But what I don't like is this whole like, happy, happy, joy, joy, and we're supposed to be fighting. Like, no.
It's like
I can't.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Like, just all of them in that same room, man, just seemed very. It just seemed weird. It was like, when they can say he's part of, what do they call it? He's part of the umbrella. Like, I forget what they called it. He's part of the system. He's part of the umbrella. So, Bob Arum, like he's part of the promotional team. And those fighters fight each other. It's kind of crazy because it just seems like the opposite. Like if I'm promoting you, like I would think that the guys that I'm promoting, they're under my banner. Like, will obviously those fights are easy to make, but we're trying to make the better fights against other promotional companies. Because the key would be, at least for me, the way I'm thinking is, it would be to kind of, build and destroy. Like let's go out and let's conquer that company. So in the midst of all this, everybody's fighting each other in this like kind of like fratricidal war type of thing. You're fighting the guy you're 2 steps down from. You guys are joking like it's the start of an NBA game. But then like Terrence Crawford sitting there and really don't have no like dance partner. Like that fight could be made by any of them, and none of them mention his name. It's just so weird, man.
Yeah, it's like a fraternity, man. It's like this little fraternity, and these are the guys that you're gonna fight. But to your point, man, it just seemed incredibly weird that you're literally steps away from somebody that you kind of want to take their head off at some point. But you mentioned the Hagler and Hearns, and I mean, I just don't see where the rivalry is like thorough. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know and there's the video you sent me of Errol interrupting Keith Thurman's interview, and it's like he's saying stuff, but it's like it almost seems forced. You know what I'm saying? And I get they're trying to make a show out of it. They're trying to build characters, and we understand that, but I just feel like it's forced. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I don't know. I think I mean naturally the whole situation though, as far as it relates to Fox and the PBC. Look, this is one thing we gotta kind of talk about, man, as it relates to Showtime, because the fact that going like even from last week, I think a lot of us already knew Mikey and Spence was going to happen, right? But all of us thought Showtime pay-per-view. Why? Because Showtime has been the facilitator for the PBC in a whole and Floyd Mayweather's fights on pay-per-view. Granted, Floyd isn't under the PBC banner, but he's managed by Al Heyman. It's like, we get it, but this is when they announced that Spence and Garcia is Fox Sports pay-per-view, I was like, yeah, oh man, like they're not wasting any time, man. And what I thought was gonna happen seems as if it's starting to happen, where Fox is starting to absorb most of the upper echelon talent of the PBC, which you got to start to think, where is Showtime going to lie in here in the next 2 to 3 years, man? I mean, can you see Showtime kind of like ending up like HBO?
Yeah, Showtime is going to be like desolate, man. I mean, like the only thing you're going to be able to watch on Showtime is like one of those like, you know, made for TV type shows. I mean, like you're not going to be able to watch sports on Showtime anymore. I think Showtime as we know it is probably going to be gone because I think Al Heyman is going to take, you know, with the zone happening, you know, I think Al Heyman is going to take his ball and go across the street, and I think that that's really it. And we know HBO is closing up shop. That's become a vacant town, but I think Showtime as we know it is going to end this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, like I want to give them like a year and change. I mean, they got a 3-year deal. I think we'll see kind of what we saw before, these showbox fights, and you know, like like fights like, I don't know, like Gary Russell Jr. against, you know, a title defense or things of that nature. But when you think of like somebody like Deontay Wilder coming off of this Tyson Fury fight, and let's just say he knocks him out, do you want to put him on Showtime, or do you want to put him in front of potentially 250, 300 million people as, you know, the American heavyweight champion of the world, or, you know, the one up? So
you put him where he's going to have the most views. I mean, again, you know, you know, with this whole thing, man, what Al Heyman is allowing these guys to do, which is admirable, is, you know, he's allowing them to become their own brand within a brand, if that makes any sense. He's allowing them to branch off, you know. So you're right, he would have to go there, but I mean, the biggest issue is that, you know, it's inner town, it's inner squad fighting. It's like basically this is what it is. It's basically your prime, you know, you're basically prime Dwayne Wade. You have the heat. You bring a couple of the best players over there. I bring, you know, I'm Jordan. I bring a couple of my prime players over there. And we just have our glorified runs that basically you got to be part of this club to come. And really what happens is, you know, the other portions of the NBA can't play here. Why? Because they're not on the side of the street, which is so stupid because, you know, the whole thing should be we want to conquer the rest of the world, not just playing these glorified, you know, fratricidal runs. It should be like we should be able to play, you know, everybody else. That's what I'm saying. Right. So for me, and it's probably a bad example, but for me, I just liked it better, man, where, you know, I like it from the aspect of when we talk about streaming TV, we can finally get rid of the monkey on our back with Comcast and, you know, AT&T, what you guys have, and their foolishness with Showtime and HBO. But the crazy part about it is that what are the quality of fights going to look like now? You know, is this going to make Bob more eager to do business with Al Heyman? Because, you know, let's think about it. With the Zone, those guys had to do business, you know, with Oscar. You know, Oscar had to kind of go over there and say, hey, listen. But he was willing to do it, you know? So I just kind of wonder, man. I hope it turns out this way because we're going to be missing some great fights, man, as a result of this. That's the only downfall I have, selfishly.
Well, that's been our concern as far as just trying to make the best fights possible within the different promotions and you know, now the different networks. But what I find interesting is the fact that at one point it was an HBO versus Showtime situation. Now it could be kind of an ESPN and Fox situation where they're competing because they have. I mean, granted, they have Lomachenko and Crawford, who again, I mean, they got to look for opponents, but at the same time, I mean, those two guys are marquee fighters that those guys at some point are gonna have to fight. So it's going to be interesting to see how Bob, in particular, man, now with this whole Mikey and Spence fight happening, and you know they're going to roll out the red carpet. It's going to be in Jerry World, you know what I mean? And you know, you got to think now, man. We've been talking about it. How is Bob going to combat this? You know, he's got to get creative with Terrence Crawford, because I think even with Mikey being a lightweight, and look, we're not gonna. This is not a prediction show or anything. I mean, we'll give her a quick, thoughts on the fight, but in the case where Errol Spence, beats Mikey Garcia, it's on pay-per-view. It's in Dallas, Texas, and I think it's going to sell a lot of tickets, but it's going to put pressure on Bob Arum to figure out a way to work with that side in some fashion, because, look, man, the truth of the matter is Terrence Crawford, nor Lomachenko have a lot of options, man, based on where they're at. So, I don't know. I mean, and look, and me saying that, as far as the fights that were announced, look, are there a lot of like wow factor fights? Not really. I mean, there's more than marquee fights. There's kind of either crossroads fights or the run of the mill of what we've been having for the most part with some of these PBC fights. I mean, mismatches in some ways, but I mean, I don't know.
But that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. Like the quality, like even though you've taken some your Dwayne Wade, your prime Dwayne Wade, and you've taken some players to play with us over here. Like some of this stuff is a mismatch because you're not getting all the stars. That's what I'm saying. Like you just made it exclusive, but you don't have all the key players. You don't have the LeBrons and all those guys coming over to play, the Anthony Davises of the world and the Chris Pauls and whatever. The problem, though, is that you're getting fights like, I just saw Lamont Peterson, and he was just sitting there, and he was like, man, I'll fight anybody. I'll fight any of these guys. We're cool, but, it's boxing. And he, like, it's just like, looked like he's kind of done. Does that make sense? Like, he just looked like he was done. And it's just like, dag, man. Well, you got Danny Garcia, who's not, who we love, but the one thing we dislike about him is he's not a risk taker. He'll sit here and say, he won't call anybody out specifically. He's just kind of chill, and he's just squandering opportunity. Then you have like Keith Thurman and Porter. Porter flat out said, man, he looked like he had a possum on top of his head. He flat out said, oh, well, yeah, I will fight Errol Spence, but to me is right now about this mandatory. I'm like, who cared about a mandatory? Are you kidding me? Like, like with Earl, like, do people want to see the fight, or does people want to have the belt? Like, so would Earl fight Porter if they weren't a mandatory, and Earl, and Porter, didn't have the belt? He had to give it up. Would Earl still fight him? I'm sure he would. The problem that this whole thing was so funny about this is what you said. Porter's not enrolled in VADA testing, correct? Not Porter, Spence.
No.
So that makes me wonder now. Like, so now Porter's going to hide behind that. We never talked about that. So, like, now basically he's going to hide behind all that. That fight going to take forever to make, man. And God forbid if Thurman gets the WBC belt, he never fighting whatchamacallit.
Well, he was joking. He's like, you're going to get injured again.
Yeah, he'll get injured, or he's going to hide behind that whole, like, I don't know what Earl's doing. I'm not going to speculate, but he's not listed in VADA. That has to tell you something, right?
I mean, I think that the reason he's not listed with VADA is because he's not ranked by the WBC. The VADA's, the people who enlist in VADA are the people who are fighting for the WBC belt. If you're not, you don't have to be, tested with VADA. When he fights Sean Porter, he's going to be VADA tested. He has no choice in that.
Right, but I just wonder, like, a lot of this stuff, because there were some grumblings that he was resistant to it.
Some other fighters I saw, can't think off the top of my head who they were, but people we all know, and they were reluctant, and I was like, but look, I'll say this, man. I mean, me saying this, I'm not accusing anybody, but the whole PEDs and things as such, man, that's like a sub industry within all of sports. So if you think that these guys have not at the very least been approached, man, like you're kidding yourselves. But
Nah, we know that. I mean, it's just there's always that. But I just, again, like when we just talk about it, I just, we talked about the quality of fights. It's just that, I was just listening to Sean Porter thinking about that whole WWE thing that happened in the ring after his fight with Danny, and we had Uncle Earl come in the ring, and now is a situation where Porter kind of like, hey man, I was kind of only joking, and I'm gonna have to listen to Big Brother WBC. I'm not gonna, we were just doing that for show, and it's like, well, crap, So now brings us to our conversation today. Earl's fighting, this Smurf, Gargamel versus freaking Brainy Smurf,
Yo, that size differential is so crazy, man.
Yo, man, I could, listen, 5'6" and 5'9" has never looked that different to me, like in terms that like disparaging, where like one was just higher.
Height. It's like the girth and the size. Like you see, one guy looks like one guy, Spence looks like a middleweight right there, and Mikey looks like a lightweight.
Man, that looks bad, man. Like who? Like that looks terrible. Like who would make? What weakness could you see? All right. There was only one time I felt bad for a fighter moving up, and it was like the size difference was like that, but it wasn't so bad as that. And that was when like Roy fought like John Ruiz. Okay. It kind of like, because remember Coach Merck, they had to weigh Roy again, and they weighed him with quarters in his pockets.
Yeah, just to weigh 200 pounds.
Yeah. And it wasn't really that big. They threw like a bunch of quarters in his pocket, so he just to get to that. But I'm sure there was grumblings that your boy was doing something else, and he gained some good weight, like some good muscle weight. That fight.
Apparently Mikey's working with Victor Conte.
Oh snap! Are you serious, man? There we go.
That's what unless somebody could
All right, so
that's what I read.
You dedupe that, man, and let everybody figure out what to do with that. Munch on that for a second. Don't munch on that. Just don't munch on the pills. See where that gets you. But I'm gonna tell you something. If for some reason in March, Mikey, let's just say he gets with Victor, and he KOs Earl like something crazy, I swear, my wife and I are getting on the plane. We're moving to Florida ASAP. Like, there's just no way. Like, I was like, you got to be kidding me,
okay,
man.
Well, this is another question I was going to ask you, and it came up in discussion today. If Mikey, even if he beats Errol Spence, like legitimately, and he gets the W, do you put him pound for pound number one?
Yep.
Right. I did.
Yep. I mean, you have to, man, because of the feet. Like, this is not. Listen to me. This ain't Oscar fighting Manny Pacquiao.
Yep. The guy. Yep.
Like, here's a guy, man, that like 3 cats in that room don't even want to mention his name. They're like, yo, like, we rather fight each other. Danny sitting there telling me, I want the winner. They're so bad. Danny fighting a no name. He like, I want the winner of them two.
Danny telling Crawford and Spence to fight each other first before he fights.
Yeah. It's like, yo, man, like what is going on, man? What is this? Freeze tag? Tag you're it. Like, you just gonna tag him? Yo, and he go to Errol Spence. Earl like, can I play? No, you can't play, dog.
No, you can't play, not today.
Yeah, not today. Yo, what you mean? Yo, man, come back tomorrow, man. You can play tomorrow. But I'm gonna let me ask you a question. Was uh, how you pronounce it? Uztaki?
Uzgategi.
Uzgateki. He fought Andre Dirrell, right?
Yeah.
That's the one who he knocked out his uncle. His uncle knocked him out, right?
Well, he didn't knock him out. He came over and like threw. I think he threw like a right hook at his.
So why are they in the same? Like that's what I'm talking about. Everything was just like, as I told my wife, it was just balloons and unicorns and like confetti today. Like, if it's really beef, why aren't we like going over there? Yeah, why aren't we going over there if it's really what's beef? Why aren't we going over there saying, "Yo, what's up?" Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's weird, man. I mean, because you don't see any other promotion doing that. Like they'll go to the fights, right? But it's not like shout out to all my wrestling heads. Like it ain't like the NWO coming out like sweet, like like a crew and a clique and everything. When like in reality, some of these guys they gotta fight each other, man. I just found it weird. And look, we get it. It's a sports in sportsmanship and the whole nine, but like that's like after the fight, like you have this camaraderie with somebody you've fought in your career that like you can't take away. But the fact that like they're just like rubbing elbows and they're like, hey, that's just like, just find it odd, man.
it really is bad, man. And like, would you ever see Ray Leonard, Hagler, and Hearn? Like, I remember Ray Leonard and Hearns, man, Jerry Curl and all, man. They were so face to face. It was nothing but Jerry Curl juice dripping all over the place. They didn't even fight yet.
Like Roberto Duran was like calling out like Ray Leonard's wife and
like on some more like on some Clubber Lane type stuff. Remember how Clubber Lane came to the statue? Like, hey, why don't you come over here and get with a real man? Take you to my apartment. Mickey wanted no parts of Rocky. He's like, man, I'm through. I'm quitting. You're not fighting this guy. I'm done. He's like, what you mean, man? Well, he's like, nah, man. Rocky had to do it because he was like, hey, see, you get with a real man. Take you to my apartment. That was it, man.
Moral of the story, part 3, man.
That was that was it. And to be honest, I mean, that's what you would hope, man. You would hope that some of these dudes, like at least with Mayorga, like it might have been staged, but at least with Mayorga, he always
he put the cigarette out in Shane's face.
Smacked this girl in the butt, man. Shane was gonna kill this boy, man. Let's not even talk about Shane, man, and his resurgence, man. This boy is bringing it. This boy trying to bring the '80s back, man. This boy think he like the fourth member of Cameo or something, man. This boy, man, Jerry Curl types of sweaters, shoes. He ain't like Dubai in the desert. He got the whole like garb on, but he got like Kenneth Cole shoes on. I'm like, what in the world is going on here? Like he a true old head. Like them old heads that wear like, them old heads you see. They down at the bodega and they got like them Stacey Adams, but they got white socks on too. Yeah. And they know a little bit of everything. They know a little. They give directions.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah. So I had that last week.
Yeah. I know that happened. Yeah, last week. Oh yeah, make a left right here. Make a left right here at this store, at this cleaners. You're gonna make a left. Like they just sit on top of crates all day. That's what Shane is like at Dubai, man. I'm like, what are you doing, man? But anyway, we need somebody like Mayorga to stir some stuff up in that room. Like Caleb Plant did a good job. I mean, he was doing a good. The twins are the twins. But it was just, for all those people fighting each other, it was just too peaceful. Like, It was just like a play date, man. I don't get it, man.
It was a PBC play date.
It was a PBC play date, and like I'm like, isn't that Uzteki? Like, didn't he fight Andre Dirrell and he not? I'd have been over there, might have smacked him in the back of his head. And then like Errol Spence, like, he talks. With Earl, he talking all this trash about Keith Thurman. Why didn't Keith Thurman go at him? Like Keith Thurman, his way of deflecting was, I ain't Floyd Mayweather's son. Like, come on, Keith. Like, Floyd's so retired.
I get, yeah. Look, man, the thing is, it's just, just the way everything And look, and us saying this, I mean, we love that boxing is on Fox. Let's not get it twisted. But again, I think and I'm thinking this is more of because remember they did this on Showtime last year when they made all that announcement of all those fights. So I'm thinking like,
oh yeah.
you remember that?
Yeah.
So I
Yes,
don't
that was
know
a big
so
deal.
much Fox more so than the PBC telling Fox like, yo, like we did this, let's do this over here because it just seems so similar, you know.
So let me
So
ask you this: where was in the midst of all this? Where was Pacquiao and Broner?
well, remember it's on Showtime. That fight's on Showtime.
What?
Showtime pay-per-view. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
All right. So before we go on, what did you think about Errol Spence talking about Broner? I mean, like, you know, when Uncle Earl made his appearance, they were, you know, Broner had corrected Uncle Earl.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Remember we were talking about, man, like, you know, there was talks about like, you know, and it's not just us. I mean, like, there's an interview with Nate Jones saying, you know, like, you know, he's out there drinking and everything. Like, he might have been sat down and say, hey, listen, man, like, you need to like, you know, kind of like keep them dudes at arm's length because you just see, you know, you just see what Broner gets into, man, and it's like you don't want to associate yourself and mess up what you know is heavily what everybody is like heavily invested in, and let alone, man, we all know Spence is, you know, at least we believe at some point gonna fight Terrence Crawford in a huge fight. But I mean, if you're kind of like teeter-tottering around, like you know, drinking and things of such, man, that can be somewhat of a problem. But I don't know, man. I mean, it's just I think in general the whole thing is it's great for boxing in the sense of putting it back on network TV. And look, it is the first like push for Fox, and let's keep in mind, man, like Fox is the one, they're the ones paying for this. I mean, this isn't like paid dates and things like how it was before, but I think at this point, man, Fox they're stamping themselves as major players, and with Pacquiao and you know with Pacquiao and Broner, that's Showtime. They got the press conference next week. But listen, man, this is another thing before we go, man. This is another thing I wanted to mention, man, as it relates to the future of Showtime. And I think one event that if Fox takes, it could very well be the nail in the coffin. Is again, if we get Mayweather Pacquiao too, man, you telling me Fox is not going to try to make a play at this fight?
Oh, it's definitely going to be in everybody's home, so it's going to be on Fox. But let me ask you this: I know you wanted to talk about Mikey before we went. Let me ask you this: out of all those fights that were announced, what are the two fights you're looking forward to the most? With the exception of the Broner and Pacquiao fight. If you had to like say, okay, these are the two fights I'm looking forward to, because obviously there were, you know, a few fights that were named, you know, like, you know, and I, you know, but I mean, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm going through the list right now because I got to see because there was a lot, man. There was
yeah. I mean, we got Danny Garcia, Granados, we got Caleb, we got Truax and Peter Quillen, we got Peterson and Lipinets, we got Spence and Garcia, Porter and you guys, Darrell, and who's Darrell fighting? Goodness, hang on, sorry, I gotta enlarge it. I hate when
I'll be Yalder.
Yonder, yeah, Cruz and Miguel Flores, Thurman and Jose Lopez, Hughes Gaddy and Plant. Wow, look at this. The Charlo brothers, Maul fighting Monroe, Mel fighting Harrison, and Dominic Brazil fighting Carlos Negrion. So what are the two fights you like?
To be honest with you, look, I think for the spectacle, we all are gonna watch Mikey and Spence. As far far as fights I actually will be watching, Uzcategui and Plant, I do want to see that. They've been talking back and forth for several months. That should be very interesting. I mean, for the most part, man, this is what I was saying. I mean, I think a lot of these fights, I mean, we know these guys, but they're not like crazy appealing fights. I mean, the Durrell and Yildirim fight, that's for a world title at super middleweight. It could be because David Benavidez, he tested positive for drugs and he's suspended up until I think March, but they're fighting for his belt, but he's in champion in recess. I don't remember hearing that. But yeah, I don't know, man. The Durrell Yildirim fight, I kind of want to see because I think at that point, man, if Durrell loses that fight, I mean, it's kind of, you could say maybe for both guys, it might be a crossroads fight. Yildirim was in the World Boxing Super Series. And then with Durrell, man, like it's that's we've talked about the Durrells on this show, man. It's as far as just being kind of like somewhat underachievers, and you thought that years ago, man, when Ward was a super middleweight, I mean, they were tagged along with him as like some of the best, but it never really panned out. I mean, the Yildirim fight's going to be interesting, man, because it's a style matchup that is sort of Uzcategui-ish in a way, and we kind of saw what happened there. So, but I don't know, man. Yeah, like there's that, and the Uzcategui and Plant fight, but everything else is, again, we're fiends. We're gonna watch it, but it's nothing like I'm gonna get super amped for. Again, outside of Mikey Spence, and even though we all kind of have our opinions, we're all watching it, so the spectacle and the whole nine, and they haven't even announced like the undercard or anything yet. So we'll see, man. I don't know. I mean, what are the two that you're interested in?
I like the Porter fight, believe it or not. The guy that he's fighting is not bad, man.
I think I've seen him fight a couple times.
Yeah, he's not bad. And obviously the Mikey fight as well. And the oh my goodness, the Caleb Plant fight. But it's funny because is it Anthony Durrell fighting or is his brother fighting?
Anthony.
Okay, so Anthony only has like one loss.
One loss, yeah.
Right. And that loss was the Badu Jack. I mean, like,
yeah,
that was a weird fight.
Yeah.
Because remember, they should have both remember how they should have both lost? They should it was weird. That fight was very weird.
Yeah, I remember it.
It was weird, but didn't who else? Now who? No, wait a minute. Who fought Uzcategui? He did, or his brother? His brother did.
I thought it was him.
No, I don't see it on his. I don't see it here.
I could be wrong then. I thought it was Anthony.
Okay, so that's why he didn't smack him when he was in the room. Because I'd have smacked him in the back of his head. His name it's the brother Andre Durrell.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Anthony. So which one is the better one?
It might be Anthony.
Yeah, that's why I was sitting. I'm like,
I get them confused.
Yeah, I get them confused too. Because I'm gonna tell you something. That's why I said this whole thing was like, yeah, Andre has 3 losses.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, he lost to Uzcategui. Remember he got disqualified, came back for him again. He got his behind bust bad. Remember go
ahead.
Remember he fought James DeGale. He fought him. They both knocked each other down. Remember that one?
Yeah,
then he fought Carl Froch.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead.
What do you think Granados can give Danny some trouble?
I don't know, man. He tough, man. I mean, it's one of those fights, man, unfortunately, man, that Danny squeaks out, man, because he doesn't really impress you. But remember, who did Granados upset?
No, he didn't. He beat hold up. Well, remember he fought Broner.
He fought Broner. He gave Broner a good rumble, and he fought Porter too. Correct?
Is that who? Yeah, he did. I think he did. Yeah, he fought Broner and Porter, and Broner, you could argue he was like, it was kind of, that was an iffy fight.
That's what I'm saying. Yup. That's what I'm saying. He could.
And he gave, did he hurt Porter? Or he gave Porter a really tough fight too.
Yeah, and this is the guy. He's from Chicago. He fought recently. He fought the guy Borges or Valdez. Who was one of them? Yeah, it was one of them we saw. He was fighting. But anyway, he lost to Broner by split decision. Yeah, man. Yeah, he's tough as nails. But you know what's so crazy? If you stand in front of Danny, that's when Danny gets methodical. Like, you know, he starts, everybody's like, oh my goodness, this guy can fight. And I'm like, yeah, he's sitting right in front of you. Like, what do you expect? You know, it's nothing to really, it's not really like, you know, use rocket science there with. But I see Danny having some trouble with him, but I see Danny, you know, getting him out of there, man. I mean, Danny does throw hard punches, man. It's just when you start throwing signs at Danny a lot, he starts getting like confused, you know. So I don't know, man. I again, I'ma just go on record and just say, you know, the only thing I found that was really strange that day when we saw her today was just that height difference. That my wife is one of these people, man. She can look at a game and say, okay, this guy looks to be this tall, and she usually gets it right. If I showed her this difference in height, she'd be like, Tom, you gotta be kidding me. This picture looks Photoshopped. You know, I mean, I didn't realize I thought Mikey's bigger than Broner.
No, he's only like 5'6". Remember when he fought Broner? Broner looked bigger than him.
I don't know about that. See, I thought it was the other way around.
Nah, Broner looked bigger. He looked bigger than Mikey, man. To me, at least.
Well, let me tell you something.
No, when I say bigger, like I'm talking about, like not the height so much, like the girth and the size.
Oh no, but remember Broner was weight drained that fight. Remember we used to look like Broner like he was on crack.
Yeah.
Broner looked bad that fight, but I'm just saying, Mikey usually looked bigger as a person than Broner that fight to me. So I was thinking that he would at least be like, let's just say, you know, year 5. It would be like Hagler and kind of like a little bit like Hagler and Leonard, or like even, for lack of a better term, Crawford looking at Bud. Like, this thing looks bad, man. It looks so bad.
He's a lightweight, man. Like, he's really not that big, man. Like,
so what is it? So they must really see something really, like, redeeming. Because
I don't know, man. Like, I can't figure it out. I really can't figure it out. I mean, obviously him beating Spence is huge, but usually you go into these fights, granted there's the risk reward, but like you'll take that risk in the sense of like you see something. I mean, does he see something? But it's funny, Crawford's Bomac, this guy's trainer, Bud's trainer, he was like, he sees what we see, he just don't have the tools.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
Man, well, can we please make that fight ASAP?
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole board's changing as far as just like the networks and things and such. So look, at some point, man, Fox and ESPN in some fashion are gonna have to get together and figure this out, man. And I think it's good, again, more so for Spence, because again, Bud's been on ESPN, he's been on HBO, people know him. They need to know Spence, and I think there's gonna be a point where it does get to a point where he's exhausted his options, and that's the fight, man.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. That's why I said, you know, they're just like prolonging the inevitable, man, and it's gonna hurt, because two things are gonna happen. Crawford is gonna get older, and Spence is gonna literally, like, I don't care what anybody say. We could blame stuff on Broner, man, Spencer's gonna be like, 500 pounds out of that division, man.
At some point, yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm gonna be honest, man. There's just no way that you can look at him, man, and tell that he wasn't 147 today. He looked like every bit of 180 today.
Yeah, man. He looked.
You don't
huge.
think so? He looked
huge, man. He looked huge. He looked huge.
He looked like literally, man. He looked like he should be a cornerback somewhere. So. And poor Mikey, man, I'm sitting there like, oh my God. I looked at, I felt so bad for Mikey, man. Like, I'm like, dang, man, he got all the heart in the world, and he got good skill. But man, he can't, man. I can see Earl, man, throwing a shoulder at him on a clinch and hitting him with an uppercut, like right off the break, man, and like just hitting him with something vicious.
I think the big problem is the fact that Mikey he doesn't have quick feet like that where he can kind of evade the body shots, but
and why would like Robert Garcia agree to that fight?
Because Mikey's the boss, man. Like it's really what he says, but apparently Robert was trying to make the Lomachenko fight, man. Like he still deals with Bob because some of his fighters are with Bob, but they were trying to work, try to set something up, but Mikey had his own plans.
Let me tell you something. I know we got to go. I'm going to say this last thing. I'm going to leave you with this. It was better for Mikey to choose that Spence fight than that Lomo fight. And I'm going to tell you why. It's a risk-reward type thing. Like, if he goes up and he gets beat by Spence, everybody's like, well, Spence is supposed to win that fight. If he goes down there, man, and he gets blasted by Lomo, oh, boy. You understand what I'm saying?
I think that kind of I think that, and I also think there's probably still some bad blood with Mikey in Top Rank, man. And he probably looked at it like, I ain't trying to give Bob Arum any money at all, man. So very unfortunate, though, because that's really the fight we wanted to see, man. I mean, that's just – and the thing is, after this fight, let's just say Mikey just gets blown out of there. The allure of that fight is gone, man. I mean, because it's like, what, you're gonna go back to 135 and fight a fresh Lomachenko who's probably not even fully acclimated to lightweight, and then once he gets fully acclimated to lightweight, you're gonna go down back in weight and fight him. That's why I said
that never works.
7, it's over, man. It's over.
So why don't he do this? Why didn't he call out Porter, Danny Garcia, or even like Thurman?
Which made more sense, right? That made more sense. If he would have done that, like I would have been more of a believer. You know what I'm saying? It's like Usyk going up to heavyweight now, as good as he was at cruiserweight. And people and let me just say that people got to stop this Evander Holyfield comparison and thing. And like, come on, stop it, guys, please, man, please. So it's like Usyk, who's very skilled, going up to heavyweight and going right into a fight with Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder. Like, how's that going to pan out for you, as opposed to trying, testing the waters with top 10 guys, but that are closer to your weight. So, I don't know, man. I mean, Mikey, I agree with you, though. I think Mikey chose the risk-reward factor, and I'm very sure he's going to get paid a lot of money. And I just and I don't know how if people will look at this as ducking or whatever, but to kind of to your point you already mentioned. I mean, I think him losing to Lomachenko and the fact that it's a fighter under Bob Arum, it's just that much. And I think he even knows, while he's said in his mind that he could beat him, he knows that would be, without question, the toughest fight of his career. I mean, people got to – even if you think Mikey would beat Lomachenko, let's not act like that wouldn't be the toughest fight of his career.
Man, it is the toughest fight of his career. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you something. You're going to laugh. Is Mikey the toughest fight of Spence's career?
See, and that's a good point. That's a good point.
Like, because I'm going to be honest,
like, is that going to be a tougher fight than Kell Brook, Mikey? Because Kell Brook, he gave Spence a fight, man.
He can, and to be honest, that's probably what they're looking at. But honestly, man, like I'm gonna go on record and say Mikey is the best fight that he has on his resume.
Who, Mikey?
Mikey is Spence's best fight.
See, I think he's the biggest. He's probably the biggest name, but I don't know if he's going to be as effective as even like Broken Eye Kell Brook was, man. Only because
I'm saying okay. I'm sorry. I meant the best name. I didn't mean like the best skill fighter.
Yeah,
I'm talking. He's the best name.
The biggest name. That goes without saying. That definitely goes. And I think that's why he's taking the fight because. And people shouldn't throw stones at Errol Spence only because, like we've been saying on the show, he had the two other champions up on the podium and they didn't want to even mention their name.
He had three guys that could easily call him out at any point in time. The face of the welterweight division. They like, man, all we want to do is play. We want to play tag with each other. We don't want this guy to come in.
Jeez.
Yeah, please. Oh, my cousin coming over. He wants to play too. He coming from the around the corner. Oh, nah, he can't play. We're gonna go back in the house.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, we'll come out and play. We'll come out and play tomorrow when he's not here.
So I mean that's kind of in a nutshell, this is pretty much where we're at. I mean, everything is an in-house situation. I think 10 years ago, we wouldn't even be talking about a Spence Garcia fight with the landscape the way it used to be. Mikey and Loma would have fought. I don't think it would have been a problem. And I think these guys would have ended up having to fight Spence but I don't know, man. We'll see. But the first half of 2019 is out as it relates to the PBC at least. With the other promotions, they're not going to do these unveilings, and it's kind of just per fight. I think it's more so from an individual standpoint with the fighters, whether it's Bud or Lomachenko or Canelo, or where Triple G is going to land. Is he going to fight Callum Smith? Is Canelo going to stay at 168? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's happening in boxing. But 2019, I want to say, man, is probably going to be a better year. And I think also it could be a very pivotal year as it relates to the platforms. And, what I'm hearing now, too, like other networks getting into the whole play. So, things are getting crazy, man. We'll see, though. But that's pretty much the show. Next week, obviously, Thanksgiving, we're not going to be doing a show. So we'll be back the following week, and that weekend actually is the second to last HBO card with Dimitri Bivol and Jean Pascal around y'all's hood in Atlantic City. Besides that, not much going on in November. December, again, is the packed month. Every week there's fights, like literally every weekend, but a major fight every weekend. Unification fights, pay-per-view fights, the Fox debut, the DAZN debut or Canelo debut on DAZN. So a lot going on in December, man. So did you want to wrap up with anything, ROD?
Nah, we're good, man. Just check out the page.
Yes, and appreciate all the follows on Facebook. We hit 11,000 followers this week. Appreciate all the follows, man. Y'all are. We do this. We don't get paid to do this, man. I mean, we do this for y'all, man. I mean, we're the torchbearers of the sport, man. And any content we can provide and give you our unadulterated content and opinions, man. That's why we're here. Shout to Train, about to take that international trip soon. And beyond that, man, I am Roberto Flack, my man. R.O. Diggity. We'll be back, like I said, not next week, the following week, and right before the big December splash. So that's pretty much it, man. Follow us at Gargigo Boxing on Instagram, Facebook.com/GYG Boxing, and we're out. Peace.